Hey there, I'm Kevin Cochran. I'm going to be talking about 5 different scientific concepts that I learned that relate to food science. When understanding unsaturated versus saturated compounds, it gave me a deeper understanding when we were learning about cookies versus cakes. Unsaturated compounds are fatty acids that contain a double bond in that structure, whereas saturated compounds don't have double bond in their carbon-carbon bonds, which can be illustrated in the image to the right. Cake tends to have more unsaturated fats like oils, leading to weaker molecular bindings and a moister and softer texture. On the other hand, cookies contain saturated fats which lead to more tightly packed structures, making cookies more compact. As far as understanding how fats work, they are chemically considered triglycerides, where they have 3 fatty acids and a glycerol backbone highlighted in blue. When baking cookies, since we are putting cookies in the oven, we need heat to proceed through the reactions to bake and make cookies. Endothermic reactions are when a reaction requires absorption of heat to proceed, whereas exothermic reactions generate heat uh, as a product and are released. As far as how cookies are shown to be tight and chewy, one good explanation is through the combination of flour and water, which is often the leading process to good chewiness. Thus, that shows what we do when making cookies, and also having more protein on the flour can also lead to more chewiness. Have you ever wondered why your alcohol may not freeze as much compared to your water? This is because alcohol often contains portions of ethanol, which is a really low freezing point, which is the point when a liquid changes a solid via freezing. Many standard freezers are only kept usually at a temperature of negative 18 degrees Celsius. Since ethanol has a freezing point of around negative 114 degrees Celsius, it depends on how it shows that it can be hard to freeze alcohol. However, depending on how much ethanol you have given a specific volume of an alcoholic beverage, calculated as ABV, you might be able to achieve some cooling. The so-called Bud Light seltzer cycles are frozen seltzers, not frozen alcohol or Bud Light. Egg yolks were interesting because they contain certain chemicals that are used in many foods. When comparing them to egg whites, they contain less water and often more fat and proteins than egg whites. Given the yellow pigment, lutein is a chemical that helps show them that color. For example, mayonnaise is created by adding lecithin, a chemical in egg yolks, to bind oil and water together through emulsification. Emulsification is a process that forces the mixture of compounds like oil and water that usually don't mix with each other, even though chemically they don't like to mix with each other. Thus, that is how you're able to make mayonnaise. Meats that we learned in class, like beef, tend to be very moisture and contain amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins. Specifically, we also learned that essential amino acids like tryptophan can be found in beef and are linked together by peptide bonds. Yet, when comparing beef jerky to beef jerky is considered a lot more dry and will contain less water and often a lot more sodium than an actual filet mignon. Thus, a lot more fat and sodium is added to account for the potential bitter taste in beef jerky, leading it to being more calories than expected. Thank you so much for watching.